Hello, everybody. I'm Richard RJ Eskow, and this is the Zero Hour. And speaking of zero hour type issues, I just want to tell you a little story. I want to read you a little bit from an article that came out this week in the Los Angeles Times. It's the title of the article is "Hi, do you have water?" quote unquote. In a Central California town, the answer is often no. Now, the town in question is Tulare, California, which, by the way, was immortalized in a Merle Haggard song some decades ago, but Tulare is by nature dry, hot, and dusty. So it is not, just to be clear, it is not a verdant Garden of Eden under the best of circumstances. It is a dry place. It is a hot place. Still, this story, I think, shows us what we might be in for. These types of places, these ecologically fragile places, are the signposts to the future. I sounded a little like Rod Serling there. Sorry about that. And now a signpost to the future. But look, this is a scary story and I want to share it with you. The article begins as follows. The grandmother sat outside in her Sunday best next to a house with peeling paint, her canned iced tea resting on top of a washing machine that didn't work. She'd been without running water for 4 months. Now, when I say that Tulare is hot and so on, I don't mean by that that they didn't have running water. They have all the or had all the amenities of modern life. It's a modern town. But here's what happens: a 70-year-old woman, as the writer describes, Diana Markham is the author. Moved 5-gallon jugs of water into her single wide trailer. It was hard because she was weak from chemotherapy. Her water had started coming out of the tap for months ago, excuse me, 3 months ago. Okay, at the elementary school, a kitchen worker talked about all the children who are coming to school dirty. This scattered Tulare County community may be the hardest hit place in California's punishing drought. Of its 7,300 people, almost 1,000 have no running water. This is what's happening as a result of extended drought in the state of California. But not very many people knew that. The reporter says that this woman, Donna Johnson, 72, started counting. This, to me, is like a scene out of a dystopian science fiction movie. During a week when the temperature reached 106, Johnson drove her purple PT Cruiser past beware of dog signs and up side roads that looked long deserted. She found mobile homes hidden behind other buildings. She said to her newfound neighbors, "Hi, do you have water?" Again and again, the answer was no. In other words, this one woman went to town, or house to house, like Kenneth Costner in The Postman or something, trying to find out what was going on. And the answer was people had lost their running water and nobody knew about it. So they had no idea, it says, this woman and her husband, that they were part of a something bigger. She says, the woman, I'd heard California drought on the news, but I guess I was just oblivious to how bad it had gotten. Well, Ms. Johnson, join the crowd, because I think most of our nation is oblivious to how bad our drought situation has gotten. And then the writer says, at the local gas station where everybody stopped for a cold soda, Johnson tuned into the conversations, and what she heard was, it was all so-and-so's well ran dry, she said. But, and again, this is another point of this story. No, this is the author writing now, Diana Markham. No public agency was keeping track. Nobody was keeping track of whether these people had water or not. The reporter goes on to say, until this week, California was the only Western state that didn't regulate groundwater, including an estimated 600,000 private domestic wells, mostly in more rural regions, such as the Central Valley. Groundwater levels here have plunged by 60 feet or more in some spots, and tens of thousands of wells are in danger. Now, millions of Americans use private wells, and public water supplies are also in danger of drying up in a number of parts of the country. So, lest you be one of those people who thinks, well, this is not a story about me. These are people who live in someplace hot. These are poor people, and I don't care about them because they live in trailers and they are not my kind of people, or whatever you might have to say about it. The truth is this: these people are on the leading edge of climate change. Climate change threatens to wreak havoc on all of us. As I mentioned elsewhere in the program today, you think you're immune from this if you're living, let's say, in lower Manhattan. You're not immune, because predictions say that one of the scenarios for climate change could lead to flooding that would inundate all of Manhattan, virtually all of Manhattan, below 34th Street. So whether it's flooding in Manhattan or drought in the hottest parts of California, we are changing this planet. We are living through scenarios that just a few short years ago would have been science fiction. The devastation of New Orleans. If the flooding of lower Manhattan sounds like a science fiction scenario to you, consider this. Consider the flooding of New Orleans. Wasn't that a science fiction scenario for you too? If a drought gets so bad, the image of a drought getting so bad that a woman goes from house to house saying, "Do you have water?" sounds like a science fiction novella to you. Consider this. So have many of the other events of recent years, especially when it comes to climate change. Get out there, march, vote, demand change from your elected leaders, organize yourself, do something. The planet is in peril. It's time to act. I'm Richard RJ Eskow, and this is The Zero Hour.